Why can a virus be both living and non-living? Welcome, NEET aspirants. If you're looking for a highly structured, fluff-free breakdown of the NCERT Living World chapter to answer foundational questions just like that, you are in the exact right place. We're going to completely bypass the noise today and focus directly on the high-yield concepts you absolutely need to master for exam day. Okay, let's dive into this. Here are the exact topics we are going to crack today: living diversity, rules of nomenclature, taxon versus category, the taxonomic hierarchy, and finally, a rapid exam recap. Section 1, the living diversity. Before we can even begin to classify the massive scale of biodiversity out there, we first have to define what living actually means. We're talking about key characteristics like growth, reproduction, metabolism, and consciousness. Those are the ultimate defining properties of life. But once we define what's living, we run into a massive problem: the sheer numbers. Right now, the count of known and described species ranges anywhere between 1.7 to 1.8 million. So with 1.7 to 1.8 million described species, how do we avoid total chaos? I mean, imagine the huge confusion if everyone just used local names that varied not just from country to country, but literally from town to town. This 1.7 to 1.8 million figure highlights the absolute necessity for standardizing how we identify, name, and classify biology. We desperately need a universal language. And speaking of understanding species, we have to talk about this absolute giant of evolutionary biology, Ernst Mayr. He is celebrated as the Darwin of the 20th century. Mayr almost single-handedly made the origin of species diversity the central question of evolutionary biology that it is today. And for your exams, please remember this: it's a highly tested previous year question. He pioneered the currently accepted definition of a biological species. His work was so monumental that he won what is widely considered the triple crown of biology: the Balzam Prize, the International Prize for Biology, and the Crawford Prize. Section 2, Rules of Nomenclature. To create this universal standard, scientists established some agreed-upon procedures, but they actually split the naming codes based on what they were classifying. This is a super common trap for students, so pay attention. For plants, scientific names are based on principles from the ICNB, the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. But for animals, taxonomists use the ICZN, the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. Make sure you don't mix these two up on test day. Botanicals for plants, zoological for animals. So how do we actually write these names? We use binomial nomenclature. That's a two-word naming format developed by Carolus Linnaeus. Here are the universal rules you absolutely must memorize. First, biological names are generally in Latin and written in italics to show that Latin origin. Second, the name has two parts. The first word represents the genus, and the second word denotes the specific epithet. Third, if you are handwriting the name, both of those words have to be separately underlined. And fourth, the genus name always starts with a capital letter, while the specific epithet starts with a lowercase letter. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing it in practice. Take a look at this example, Mangifera indica Linn. We clearly see our genus, Mangifera, with a capital M. We see our specific epithet, indica, all in lowercase. But notice that Linn at the very end. The name of the author appears after the specific epithet, usually abbreviated. In this case, Linn tells us that this exact species of mango was first described by Linnaeus himself. Section 3, Taxon versus Category. This is a highly tested area, so let's get it straight. A category is just an abstract step or a rank in the overall taxonomic arrangement. It's the structural level itself. On the flip side, a taxon, or taxa for plural, is the actual concrete biological entity that represents that rank. So when you say mammals or dogs or wheat, you're talking about a recognizable group of organisms, a real biological entity you can observe. That's a taxon. The rank that taxon holds in the whole system, that is its category. Section 4, the Taxonomic Hierarchy. Let's build this ladder of life systematically, going in ascending order. We start at the very base with species, which is the lowest category of organisms sharing fundamental similarities. Related species are grouped into a genus. Related genera form a family. Assemblages of families form an order. Related orders make up a class, and related classes form a phylum. But watch out. Here's a crucial exam fact.
For plants, classes with similar characters are assigned to a higher category called division instead of phylum. Finally, all phyla or divisions fall under the highest category of all, the kingdom.
So the crucial point is this rule right here. As we go higher up that ladder, from species to kingdom, the number of common characteristics actually goes on decreasing. The lower the taxa, the more characteristics the members share. This means that the higher the category, the harder it is to figure out the relationship to other taxa at that same level. The whole problem of classification just becomes way more complex the higher you go. This maps out some really common organisms across these categories, straight from Table 1.1 in your NCERT book. You need to know this inside and out. Pay special attention to high probability targets for your exam. For instance, notice that wheat belongs to the family Poaceae and the order Poales. And look at mango. It belongs to the family Anacardiacea, and its order is Sapondyles. Don't skip memorizing this table. It is an absolute goldmine for direct multiple choice questions.
Section 5. Rapid Exam Recap.
Let's move to and see how this builds in a quick 30-second revision sprint. Here are your must-remember points. Ernst Mayr is the Darwin of the 20th century. Earth's known biodiversity stands at 1.7 to 1.8 million species. Remember those naming codes. ICBN for plants, ICZN for animals. Binomial Nomenclature by Linnaeus dictates that the genus is capitalized, the specific epithet is lowercase, and both are italicized or underlined. A taxon is the concrete biological entity, while category is the abstract rank. And finally, as you move to higher taxa, organisms share fewer common characters. Boom! We've covered the defining characteristics of life, the exact rules for naming it, the hierarchy, and the mind-blowing scale of known biology. But let me leave you with this final thought. With millions of species currently identified, how many more remain completely hidden in unexplored habitats, just waiting to be discovered and maybe even rewrite this very hierarchy? The living world isn't just some chapter you have to memorize. It's an endless frontier of discovery. Keep studying hard, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.